Perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Caffiero. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. And I want to just acknowledge everyone on this call because you're on here to learn a little bit more about health, a little bit more about being healthy, about feeling healthy. And that is the first step. I think there's so many people out there that aren't even aware that the true wealth is health. It's the foundation of everything. You know, right now with what's happening with the fires, people are losing their homes, people are losing their lives. But most, with the exception of your life, everything can be rebuilt. Possessions, belonging, even relationships. But health, once lost, is very, very difficult to get back. So I just want to applaud all of you that are on here that are looking to improve things, because when you improve your health, you literally improve everything. Because when you improve your energy, you improve your clarity, you improve your output, you improve your relationships. It all is linked together. So my name is Rebecca Caffiero. I'm certified in holistic health and integrative nutrition. And what that means is that, one, I've studied over 100 different dietary theories. So I'm going to tell you tonight what I believe. The amazing thing out there about diet and nutrition is you can find something to support almost everything. There are people out there that believe you can live off of air, and maybe they can. That's just not my belief. So in the 100 plus dietary theories I've studied, I've kind of taken the things that I noticed have worked for about the 7,000 people that I personally have been able to help on their health journeys. And so I'm going to share that with you tonight, but we're going to talk about a few specific things. So number one is keys to optimal health. Doesn't matter who you are. We'll talk about bio-individuality and bioavailability, but there are really three signs or three keys to optimal health, regardless of who you are and what your unique needs are. We're going to talk a little bit about fads and trends. There's a lot of things out there that aren't necessarily the most healthy, and I'm not going to dig in incredibly deep because you can always research that on your own, but I'm just going to cover a few of the things out there, like juice cleanses, keto diets, cutting calories. That's not necessarily a fad or a trend. It's something that a lot of people do. Even those detox teas on Instagrams you see. And of course, we're going to talk about coffee because that's a big one for people. And then lastly, I'm going to give some of my personal recommendations. And this is just things, again, that I have found that work for me based upon science that I have tested. I will tell you what I've done that doesn't work, what you don't need to go spend hundreds of dollars a month trying. And then I'm also going to talk about things that I know work. And I hope that you all walk away with some things, but at the very least, a few tips about things like snacking and water and my favorite, kombucha. What even to look for in a good kombucha that you'll be able to get off this call and have some great takeaways that you can use immediately. So let's get started. So first of all, signs that you may be toxic. Now, that doesn't mean you're a toxic person, like nobody wants to be around you, okay? Please understand, I'm not saying that. If you are one of those people, now, I will say I've met some people that are toxic in a non-physical sense, in an emotional sense, and sometimes when they got their bodies not toxic, it helped them in other ways. So if you have somebody in your life, especially a family member, that you have to deal with regardless, and you want them to be a nicer human being, all of this is going to be applicable to them as well. But just a couple of the signs that you might be experiencing toxicity in your body. And toxicity and acidity is things like bad breath, if your tongue is coated, hemorrhoids or tummy troubles, constipation, digestive issues, bloating, weight gain that you can't explain, even if you're working out, even if you're eating clean, weight gain, and this is not about being a certain size or even a certain body mass, but it's about understanding that a significant amount of weight can put a strain on the body. Acne, if you're breaking out, even if you're getting facials, even if you're using medications, of course, we can always look at makeup, but acne, body odor, belching, or bad gas. I will say a disclaimer, if you've recently gone plant-based, you will turn into a gas factory. And I'm actually going to host a call tomorrow night. For those of you that have watched movies like What the Health or Forks Over Knives, I'm going to do a call tomorrow night that really just breaks down, for those of you interested in a more plant-based diet, how you can accomplish that in a way that's sustainable and you also get the nutrients. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me and I can give you the info for that call, but it'll be tomorrow evening. Inflammation. This is a huge one. So inflammation, people are like, well, what is inflammation? Well, inflammation is basically a autoimmune response that happens inside your body. And it can show up as joint discomfort. It can show up as pain. It can show up as swelling. There's so many different ways. It can show up as just being puffy, lack of energy, Lack of energy is a huge one. It is not normal to need a nap at 2 p.m. It is not normal to be exhausted at 8 p.m., unless you are digging a ditch and you've been putting in 12 hours of hard labor. That's not normal. But so many of us experience that, and the people around us do, that we begin to trick ourselves that is normal. Mental fog. Unless you're a brand new mom, and even then I can help you. Mental fog or poor concentration, even poor sex drive. I'm not a sex therapist, but I can tell you when you're exhausted, the last thing you want to do is get it on, right? That's why we tell our husbands or significant others or partners, if you're a woman on this call, don't talk to me about it when it's 11 o'clock and I'm exhausted. At least that's me. Anxiety and depression. And again, everything we're going to talk about here is just food. So we can't say it cures, treats, prevents any diseases. However, there's absolutely a link to mental fog or not feeling great. And that is linked to toxicity. Headaches, general nausea, just not feeling good, feeling off. Even allergies and food sensitivities can be associated with being toxic. So let's talk about that. So you probably noticed one or two things. Oh, your hair falling out. You probably noticed maybe one or two things in there that you're experiencing. Maybe you noticed a lot. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing what I know as the right things. I'm eating clean. And that's where I was as well. Even up to 4 years ago, I was doing all of these things, which I'll tell you about, and you don't need to go do. If you want to, just to try it out, that's great. But this is not the foundation to health. But I was doing colonics. I was doing infrared saunas. I still do love those. I was doing I tried all kinds of different cleanses, and I'm going to talk about cleansing at the end. I tried eating no sugar. I tried eating raw. I did all of these very healthy things, yet I didn't feel good. I still had brain fog. I was exhausted. I was breaking out. I was puffy, all of it. And I'm like, what do people that eat McDonald's feel like if I feel like this and I pretty much only go to Whole Foods? So 3 keys to optimal health. And these are things, again, doesn't matter who you are. If you're a human being, these are the keys. And if one of these areas is out of focus or out of alignment, it's going to affect the other ones. So first, toxicity, which we just talked about. Toxicity comes from so many different places. None of us live in a bubble. So you might be toxic because of the food that you're eating. And that's an easy one to change because you have control over it. You might be toxic because of the things you're putting on your skin, because if we wouldn't eat it, we probably shouldn't put it on our skin. I will tell you, I'm wearing MAC makeup, or not makeup, MAC lipstick tonight. I love MAC. I love their lipstick. I love their colors. It's a toxic makeup. So it's all about balance. And so we're going to give you, again, some things here that you can make. So you can make changes, but without having to overhaul everything to start. Toxicity does a few things. So not only does it put a tremendous amount of stress on your body, it can even affect your body's ability to break down and absorb nutrients. And if you're a clean eater, you're working out, you're doing all the right things and you're really doing those and you're still not feeling good, there's definitely a chance that you are experiencing toxicity. Toxicity can be contributed to adrenal fatigue as well. So if you are just like, I am exhausted, that can be from toxicity. Next is stress. So managing stress doesn't mean that you need stress to have optimal health. It means you need to figure out how to manage it. Where does stress come from? Stress can come from exterior things like job, family, traffic. I don't know about you. I work from home now. I used to commute 90 minutes one way, 60 minutes the other. That created a lot of stress in my life. Stress can come from even working out. Now that's a positive stress, but your body doesn't know the difference between if you are doing, like, I did a, what is it called? Pure Barre class today. And I was like, holy crap, the stress that is going on in those little muscles in my thighs don't know that I'm not running from a T-Rex. They're shaking. And I'm like, this is hardcore. And it doesn't even look that hard, but it is hard if you've never done one of those classes. I'd rather do Soul Cycle. But your body is going through stress. And so you also need to manage and eradicate even that stress from a workout. Other stress is from nutrition. If we're getting poor nutrition, and we'll talk a little bit about what happens when you bring toxicity into the body, but that stress creates issues on the body. It creates adrenal fatigue. It creates inflammation. It's all tied together. And then number 3, we've got to hydrate. So if you don't have your water, grab one. Even though we're only going to be on this call for about another 14, 15 minutes. But if you are toxic and you're stressed out, even if you were eating a perfect diet, like if you're Gwyneth Paltrow and you have a chef that is making your food, if you haven't addressed toxicity and you haven't addressed your stress, that amazing food that I'm sure she's paying like 10 grand a month for she is not going to be able to absorb, or you are not able to absorb the nutrients from what you're eating like you would if you address the stress and the toxicity. Okay. So understanding that dense, great nutrition is a very important part of optimal health. In fact, I would say it's one of the most important, because you can actually manage stress and you can lower toxicity through food. But again, don't just think clean eating alone is going to do it. I have so many people that are like, I'm just going to eat clean and I'm just going to work out and my stress is going to be great. Or they say, oh, I read an article that, our bodies naturally detox. Absolutely. But we have not evolved as a human species as much in the last 100 years as the toxicity we've added to our environment and the stress we've added to our life, right? Because 100 years ago, there weren't cell phones and iPhones and Instagram and all the stuff that is supposed to make us happier, but we actually have a lower rate of being happy than people 100 years ago. TV, right? There was no Netflix 100 years ago. People didn't sit down and binge Netflix. And then also, the other side of that is our environment. I mean, yes, there were coal mines and things 100 years ago, but I live in Northern California, well, right now the sky is full of smoke, but normally relatively clean. I'm an hour away from the city. But you know what? I live in between San Jose and SFO, and I'm in between two major airports, and there's constantly planes flying overhead. And so even though my air feels clean, when I go out to my lemon tree and pick my organic lemon, it is coated in soot from jet fuel falling out of the sky. It's on my car. I'm not here to freak you guys out. In fact, I'm hoping I'm not. I'm just here to give you manageable tools. But my point is that even if we think we're doing everything, there's just so many areas that we're being bombarded with all this stress and toxicity. So we're going to talk at the end a little bit about how to detox the body and how to de-stress the body using food. And of course, other things like meditation, mindfulness, great relationships. So number 2 is, let's talk about some fads and trends. Again, I believe everyone starts something with great intentions. And when I was studying dietary theory in my holistic health training, there are definitely different things that work for different people. But some of the ones I see out there right now that I want to educate you so that if you decide that you do it, you make sure that you have well researched it. So one is juice cleanses. And I will say I love the cold pressed juices. There's something decadent about paying $8 for something this size that comes in glass and is cold pressed with a pound or 2 pounds of fruit, right? I mean, it feels good. You're like, oh, I'm doing something good for my body, especially if it tastes bad. You're like, I'm definitely doing something good for my body because it tastes disgusting. But here's something to understand. And I'm not telling you not to do a cold pressed juice now and then, but I would go for the green juice and go for the ones that are low in sugar. The World Health Organization recommends we do less than 25 grams of sugar a day. That's the equivalent of 1 green apple. 1 green apple. Most of the juices that I've seen have anywhere from 20 to 80 grams, especially if there's things like pineapple, even the apples and pears. So I know when I go, I typically get ones that have no fruit. I just get straight up juice. Vegetable juice. And they might have 3 to 5 grams of sugar. But understand a little bit of sugar is good for you, especially if it's like glucose or a little bit of fructose, which just means fruit sugar. You don't want the high fructose corn syrup or any of that garbage. But even watch if it just has an apple, it could be really high in sugar. So understand that can be a special treat. But the reason that I don't recommend juice cleanses, a couple things. One is most of them are 3 to 5 day cleanses. The average 3-day cleanse is $200. So one, it's just ridiculously expensive for what you're getting. Like if you're spending that amount of money, you want something that's going to be longer lasting and more sustainable. 2 is, again, amount of sugar. A lot of those cleanses, if you're doing 4 and 5 juices a day, you might be doing 150 grams of sugar a day. Think about it, 6 times what is recommended by the World Health Organization. Also, I've got my notes here. Also, another thing is it's not sustainable. I mean, you might lose weight, but it's most likely going to be water weight because you're just not putting any solid foods in. So you're going to be urinating out most of what you're doing. So you might lose a little bit of water weight or just like after you poop and there's nothing digesting through your system, but it isn't truly supporting a detox. The other thing is anything after 48 hours of not putting in protein into your body, which you're not going to do on a juice fast, anything after 48 hours, your body is actually going to start breaking down muscle as fuel. So I see people doing it. I'm like, oh, I applaud you for trying it. But like, again, days 3 or 4 or 5, you are breaking down muscle. And a correlation is muscle, which is created by a human growth hormone, that is really hard to rebuild. In fact, one thing I didn't add from earlier is stress. When you are eating healthy and you're working out, but you're really stressed and you're not seeing results at the gym, it's because those high stress levels or cortisol levels in your body suppress your human growth hormone. And human growth hormone is what helps you put on lean muscle and what regulates your metabolism. So if you're one of those ladies that it's like, I'm drinking a coffee in the morning and then I'm like, having a little snack for lunch, I'm going to a spin class and I do my meal at dinner because you think you're in caloric deficit, you are destroying your metabolism. And that's why you're not getting results. And the harder you work out the more it's going to do that. So that's the reason I don't recommend juice cleanses. Okay. Keto diets. Again, I applaud people that are looking into keto because the keto has a great principle. It's really lowering your amount of sugar. The issue is one keto, they act like this is a generalization. So if you are on keto, please understand, I'm not saying anything is horrible or good, but there's a tendency in keto to look at sugar like it is evil. But sugar actually comes from some things like fiber. Like insoluble sugar is fiber. Fiber is a wonderful, even like magnesium, some nutrients have sugar in them, or they have a sugar quality. So understand that when you're looking at like something and it says sugar, look at what the amount of, let's say, fructose is, or when you look at carbs, look at the amount that's actually sugar, because there are other things that are carbs that are not sugar. Even vegetables have glucose, which is like vegetable sugar, but it's not the same thing as fructose. So your body treats it very differently. The other thing about keto is, let me explain ketosis or intermittent fasting, because it is a absolutely amazing thing that I believe everybody should do. I mean, it activates your anti-aging. It is shown to reverse all kinds of different things. And I'll let you go on the internet and look at this. But I would just say, Google intermittent fasting and Alzheimer's. Google intermittent fasting and diabetes, especially type 2. Google intermittent fasting and heart disease. I'm not going to make any claims for you. Just go to Google and look up scientific studies and you will be astounded at the benefits of intermittent fasting. However, here is where the issue is with a lot of the keto diets where people are trying to eat for like 6 hours a day and then fast the rest of the day. Is when you eat, it takes about 18 hours for your body to burn through all the sugar from what you've eaten. And of course, the more sugar you're eating, the longer it will take. But you hit about that hour 18, and that's when your body starts ketosis. And from hour 18 to about hour 48, your body is burning fat. And the specific fat that it usually is targeting is your visceral fat. That's your sticky fat around your tummy area. And so that's wonderful. But most keto diets, they're only getting to hour 18. So they're burning sugar, but they're never getting into ketosis. They're never truly getting into a state of ketosis. Or they're not giving themselves enough healthy carbs that they're actually experiencing low energy or other side effects. So if you Google side effects of keto diet, different than intermittent fasting, but a keto diet, you'll see that sometimes there's actually depletion of the healthy carbs that our body needs to function, including our brain. And we all want to be mentally on it, right? And then that's really kind of it. It actually can break down muscle. So, just understanding, if you want to do ketosis, I recommend doing it through intermittent fasting versus trying to be on a specific keto diet. But we will talk about sugar, because avoiding a lot of sugar is a great thing. Cutting calories. This is probably the age-old one that everyone sees. Now, I don't want to say that calories don't matter at all, because obviously if you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, you shouldn't eat 5,000 calories a day. But and intermittent fasting is about caloric deprivation, but it is about doing it in a very specific way. So if you're just like, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day and I'm going to lose weight because that's what my fitness pal tells me. It's not your pal. Okay. But what happens is that it's not just about the calories. It's about what's in the calories. So I like to say, don't count your calories, make your calories count. We can all agree that if you're eating a Snickers bar and it's 250 calories, you're really not getting anything out of it, right? But there are people out there that are like, well, I'll eat 3 Snickers bars, but I'm under 1,000 calories, so I should lose weight. It's also about bioavailability, and that means what percentage of the calories you're eating is your body actually able to break down and use. So with a Snickers bar, you're getting like nothing. I mean, you're adding a ton of crap into your body that your body's gonna have a really hard time processing. And then you could say like, well, what about like a sweet potato, a chicken breast, organic chicken breast, all organic, all super healthy, some leafy greens. Obviously a much better option. But even organic food is typically only somewhere between 20 and 40% bioavailable. So you might be eating it, but your body's having to do a lot of work to get not a lot of it. And meat, and I'm not telling you to go off meat, even though I personally am plant-based, I'm vegan, but meat takes significantly more energy to digest than plants. So if you have the ability to eat, let's say like some quinoa and avocado and things that have that are plant-based that have protein versus, let's say, a chicken breast, even if they have the same amount of calories and the same amount of protein, your body's going to actually break down and absorb a lot more of the plant-based. But understanding when you're cutting calories, you might be actually eliminating nutrition out of what you're eating already. So it's more important to get dense nutrition in versus just limiting calories. And then a coffee, okay, and we'll get going a little faster. Coffee is not inherently evil, even though if you have the ability to switch to like green tea and yerba mate, that is much better. But here is the issue with coffee, and there's 4 things I want people to look for in coffee. So number 1 is most coffee, if you're not drinking organic, has pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, and coffee, the way it's processed, is one of the most toxic for how it gets delivered to your bloodstream. Hi, honey. I'm about to take over with my little one. So, hi, you want to come sit with mommy? Okay. My husband had a phone call, so this is my little one. And I will just say, when I'm telling you all of this, I am such a nerd that my child has never had like organic baby food. He wants kombucha. Whoops. So, okay, back to where we were talking. There you go. He's going to drink the entire thing. It's, by the way, it's blood orange, carrot, and it's under 6 grams of sugar for the entire serving. Okay, so back to coffee. It's just highly toxic. And the worst part is decaf is actually even more toxic. Number 2 is most of it's highly acidic. What that means is that it puts your body into a state not only of acidity and inflammation, but it actually pulls water out of your body. So you might be drinking your 8 cups that you think, or 8 glasses that you think are good, but that coffee is actually depleting your body of hydration. Number 3 is most coffee. That's all right. That's my husband. So acidity, making sure it's organic. Oops. Most coffee is really high in mold. There's actually a couple of foods that are very high in what's called mycotoxins, mycotoxin. And it's basically a type of mold that grows in coffee, corn, wheat, and peanuts. Now, yeah, exactly. Mom life, Ellie. Now, the thing about that, I mean, now this is just me saying this. I'm not a scientist. Those are all 4 foods I have issues with. I love peanut butter. I just can't eat it anymore. So it leads me to believe that so many people have food sensitivities to all of those things. Maybe it's the food, and I'm not even going to talk about gluten on this call because I will never stop, but it might be a sensitivity to mold. In fact, I've had people I've worked with that tested positive for mold poisoning, and they had their houses checked, and it turned out it was because they were huge coffee drinkers. So you want to make sure you find a mycotoxin-free or mycotoxin-tested coffee. I think that's enough. So the other thing is the way coffee hits your bloodstream versus green tea. It hits it like a sucker punch versus like a cold drip. So when you drink green tea, you get that like nice kind of up feeling, but it's not like coffee hits it so hard that you end up crashing after. So if you can mix your coffee with like a little bit of coconut oil, it will slow the process. Now, I used to use bulletproof coffee. I didn't put the butter in it, but I would put in the coconut oil, not for me, for my husband. I don't drink coffee. But I found another coffee, which is Isa coffee, and I will talk about that on the end. I still am not a big coffee drinker. I might have 2 or 3 ounces a week, but my husband's on that. And I love it because it's that type of coffee is mold-free. I buy the organic. It is low acidity, so it's a high pH balance. It's infused with coconut oil and trace minerals. Trace minerals are basically what your cells need to kind of be alive. Want to wave to everyone? Say hi. Say hello. Not anymore. Okay. Now, last is my recommendation. So like I said, I had tried so many different things out there. I had tried the colonics. I had tried going raw, all of these different things. And I felt like I was doing all these parts and pieces, but nothing was working synergistically. So I'll make an analogy to skincare. If you've ever been like, okay, well, I'm using this cleanser and sometimes I'm using this exfoliator, and you're using all these different things and you just don't know what's really working. And then maybe you find like the best skincare ever and it's a system and it addresses everything. And you start to get results because 1, it works synergistically, and secondly, because you're actually using a system. So my recommendation for cleansing is cellular cleansing. Now, the difference between a cellular cleanse and a digestive cleanse or a liver cleanse is a parts and pieces versus the whole. Your body is made up of trillions of cells. So you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to cleanse out my liver and poop my brains out for 2 days, and then I'm going to feel great, because you haven't addressed the inflammation. You haven't addressed like the toxicity in your cells that make you have brain fog, right? You need to address everything at a cellular level. And then secondly, the stress. So with all of those things that I tried, it'll be 4 years ago in December, Mr. Noisy. I tried a system called Isogenic. Some of you that are on the call are probably have used it and you just want a little more information. And maybe some of you are watching this recording. Like I said, I had studied over 100 different theories. And again, I still personally believe in a plant-based diet, in a gluten-free diet, in a dairy-free diet. That's me personally. But what I am interested in is a foundation of health, a foundation of health that's sustainable with a life as a mom, with traveling, a foundation that works for every body, or that's customizable for everybody, not just the person that wants to meal prep or wants to go to Whole Food or, wants to do all these things that maybe I want to do, but is just not going to happen for someone else. And so with ISO, what it does with the cellular cleansing is it gives the digestion a break, which allows the liver and things to basically, well, not stop, but to cleanse itself. And it's combined with intermittent fasting, as we talked about, but it's designated or designed to get you into that state of ketosis for the optimal amount of time and then refuel your body before you ever break down muscle. And it's all been clinically studied. And I love the fact that it's peer reviewed and they've been published in Men's Fitness Magazine and Health and Fitness and all these different things. So it's not just like something that doctors do, but regular people do as well. All right, you can get to go down. And I'm going to give you my phone, which we don't normally do. Hold on. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Mom life. Here you go. Children, by the way, if you have children, you definitely need to address stress because kids are wonderful, but my goodness, they are like 24/7. So next is talking about the intermittent fasting. The other thing is just not eating doesn't do it. Okay. So if you just don't eat for 48 hours, what happens is, yes, your body will start to burn off that fat, and that fat, those fat cells that enrobe toxins, that'll actually get dumped into your bloodstream. But if you don't have specific nutrition that is targeted at removing it from your bloodstream, it's just going to circulate. Okay. So what happens is when you eat something or drink something, or let me have my mouse, please. If you eat something or drink something or put something on your skin that's toxic, and those toxins go into your bloodstream and they go through your liver, and your liver says, I can't deal with this. It puts it back into your blood. And then your liver says, you know what? We're going to encapsulate those toxins. Imagine it like a grain of sand. We're going to encapsulate those toxins in fat. And that fat, again, is around the waist. And so when you see people that are thin with that like spare tire, that's all related to toxicity. So this isn't even a weight issue. This is a health issue, because you can be a thin person and still be highly toxic. But the cleanse that I do through Isogenics is aimed at giving the body the nutrition it needs, the liquid nutrition it needs on cleanse days, botanicals and herbs and different things that specifically support the detoxification process without any crazy additives or artificial sugars or any of that stuff that's in a lot of other things. And then you refuel your body. But I'm not going to talk all about Isogenics. I will just say that it is my foundation for health. Okay. So if you are on this call to get a little more information about it, reach out to someone. It's peer reviewed. It's medically tested. I mean, it is the legit thing. And I have never found something that worked for the range of people with the type of sustainability and success. I mean, I've used it for 4 years through releasing weight, through managing stress, through doing a natural fitness competition, through a healthy pregnancy as a breastfeeding mama. And now, I work from home. Now next, okay, let's talk a little bit. I want to give you guys some tips to walk away with about snacks. Okay. You should absolutely be snacking minimum twice a day. You should really aim to eat 5 to 6 meals a day. That's going to depend slightly on your level of activity. So if you're a sedentary person, it might be 3 meals, 2 snacks. If you're an active person, it might look like 2 meals or 3 meals and 2 or 3 snacks. But you shouldn't be ever going more than 3 to 3.5 hours without putting some type of food in your body. You want to keep your body revving and burning calories. Again, why, I'm not into the ketosis diet. Kelly Granger said, called Cleanse for Life. Yes, exactly. The aloe vera based drink from the heart of the aloe vera that you drink on cleanse days is called Cleanse for Life. And it literally is because it's cleansing your body for longer life. And when I say I anti-age, I'm 37 and I look and feel younger than I did at 27. It is, and I will just say that my doctor is very thrilled with my blood panels. It is because the process of intermittent fasting, again, reactivates that anti-aging gene. So now let's talk about snacks. When you are snacking, regardless of your goal, regardless if your goal is weight loss, if your goal is more energy, less cravings, you really want to avoid fruit. Okay. I know that's hard for people, but you want to avoid fruit. Okay. Now, a handful of berries now and then. I mean, berries are full of beautiful antioxidants, but avoid the sugary stuff. Avoid a lot of bananas, oranges, etc. I pretty much only do berries. Now, yes, once in a while, I mean, when I go home to my parents, they have an apple orchard, I'll eat an apple off the tree. But one thing most people don't even realize about fruit is that most fruit, even unless you're buying it from a farm stand, like at your Saturday market, or maybe like a CSA, you're getting a box delivered weekly. Even if you go to Whole Foods, there is no guarantee of the life of that fruit. Meaning, apples don't grow year round, yet they're offered year round. Most fruit, even at a Whole Foods, is held in cold storage or even soaked in water for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So often, so much of the nutrition is gone from it. If you are going to buy fruit and you want antioxidants, I would actually suggest buying frozen organic berries. Okay. They're a great snack. I like to add, sounds so bizarre, but I like to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar on them, like a champagne balsamic. It's such a like sweet and salty treat. And again, it is going to be much, actually, even though it's not technically fresher, it's going to actually be much more nutrient dense, a lot more antioxidants in it, because of the fact that when they pick fruit to freeze, they freeze it immediately. There's no benefit to holding it in cold storage for 3 months. Okay. And then another thing for snacking is look for fiber and for protein. So I would even say avoid dairy. If you even look at yogurt, most yogurt is pretty high in sugar. And there's not really a lot of protein. So things like veggies and hummus are great. That's a lot of fiber. Almonds, raw almonds. You can do, what else do I like to snack on? I love a half of an avocado. Don't avoid fat, okay? Avoid bad fat, but healthy fat is great for you. Fat doesn't make you fat. Sugar makes you fat. So avocado, watch the nut butters, but avocado is just it's like the perfect food. Even coconut oil. Other snacks. So whatever you eat for dinner, you can make that into a small snack portion. I will, do just a little bit of leftovers. If you want like a really perfect, easy dinner, like that's a clean dinner, make some type of salad. Leafy greens like a kale, massage it with avocado and lemon or lime juice because it actually breaks it down so it's more bioavailable. Add in some type of beans for protein, ideally not a fried bean. Add in maybe quinoa or brown rice. Those together are a perfect branched chain amino acid profile. There's 23 branched chain amino acids that you need, and that gives you all of them. And then I do shakes. I do shakes twice a day, even not necessarily for a meal replacement. I do one for breakfast, usually one about an hour before dinner or in the late afternoon as a snack. And it's not for even me because I don't have a weight loss goal. It's not about weight loss. It's about getting in dense nutrition. For people that do have a weight loss goal, doing 2 shakes a day is amazing in lieu of 2 meals. And they are meals. Okay. And I have people that are like, well, I don't want to drink my food. And I'm like, think about babies. They get all of their nutrition from liquid. Okay. All of it. So having a little bit of liquid nutrition every now and then is a great thing. Let's talk about what to drink. Water, and more water. If you think that 50% is enough, it's not. You really need to be drinking 75 to 100% in your body weight in ounces per day. And that is before working out. So if you're doing an intensive workout, like I'll go to an Orange Theory class and I will drink another 40 to 80 ounces of water at the class. So make sure you're getting enough water, ideally through some type of filtered source, because tap water can be really high in heavy metals and pesticides and herbicides. And yes, and Marianne, adding electrolytes is very important as well. But also invest in a clean canteen or a hydro flask. Don't be refilling water bottles. It breaks down the plastic. Ideally, don't drink out of plastic at all. But make the investment $20-$30 in like a nice stainless steel. And the other thing, as Marianne was saying, make sure you're adding electrolytes, especially if you're working out. I use ones called Hydrate, and they're full of vitamin B complex and electrolytes. Those are also available for Isogenics. And, I've used a lot of things. I just trust Isogenics. Probiotics, if you don't have them in your diet now, make sure to add them. People do not, and prebiotics. Prebiotics are the food that probiotics eat. So think about probiotics like Pac-Man, and prebiotics are those little things that Pac-Man runs around and eats, okay? So you want probiotics and prebiotics, and you want to make sure that you're doing one that is also tastes good, because not all of them do. But I take ones in the morning in water, and then I also have them in my shakes. They're just already in there, which is super convenient because I don't want to do something that's going to take 9 steps. I want something that is grab and go. But people don't understand the importance of gut health. Your gut health is, they call your gut your second brain, okay? 80 to 90% of the serotonin, that's the happiness drug, that's a brain drug, is actually produced in your gut. 80% of your immune system comes from your gut. You okay? It's fake coughing. And so doing something that has probiotics, kombucha has probiotics. Okay. I love kombucha because it has that effervescence. If you feel like you want a cocktail at night because it's been a long, stressful day, one, you need to be using Ionics. That's a adaptogenic tea. It's a blend that reduces stress levels. That also is offered by Isagenix. Before ISA, I used to do like some individual stuff from Whole Food, like ashwagandha, milk thistle, or what was I taking? Goji berry juice, which is a cousin to the wolfberry. And I used to do all that stuff like taking pills or juices. And what I found is Ionics for $1.30 a serving was literally life-saving. And I do it 2 to 3 times a day, depending on my stress level. But kombucha is so good because it's full of probiotics. But when you go to the grocery store, Safeway, Whole Foods, wherever you're going to get it, look for one that's low in sugar. And notice that most of them have 2 servings in it. So ideally try to find one that's 4 grams or less, because it's actually 8 grams. Most of the ones I buy are 2 to 3 grams. And get the ones with the black label if you want that little buzz, because that's just got about 0.5% of alcohol. But have a kombucha at night if you're craving a beer or glass of wine first. This is not about not enjoying a glass of wine. It's just about really recognizing, what does my body need and why is it craving what it's craving? And if you just want a great glass of wine because it'll go well with dinner, have the glass of wine, but have the probiotic or have the kombucha or have the Ionics first. Okay. Raw and cold processed. So I want to talk a little bit about processed foods, because I am a snob and I don't do processed foods. And when I started Isagenix, I really had to kind of re-educate myself, because I was like, well, if it doesn't come from my naturopath and tastes like ground up bones and costs $300 a month, or if it doesn't come from the farmer's market, or if it doesn't come from Whole Foods, it can't be good for you. The idea that something could show up in a canister and be good for you, I was like, But I fortunately got over my ego and I looked into it. And what you need to realize is there's a big difference between processed food and food that's gone through a process. Okay. Processed foods means a lot of times there's no nutrition in it, or there have been additives or fillers or things that make it taste delicious, but there's really no nutritional value. Food that's gone through a process, dehydration, keeps food from being chemically and enzyme changed, but it's still been processed. You cut an apple, it's been processed. So just understand, when you say no processed foods, I like to say I don't do foods with additives. I don't do foods that have been stripped of nutrients. I like to eat very nutrient-dense meals. But as much as you can find of foods that have been either a raw, I love the brand Go Raw. It's my favorite. They make amazing, all kinds of amazing, like little, they call them cookies, but they're like 4-ingredient raw sprouted cookies are so good. Anything you can have that's sprouted or dehydrated. And again, that's another part of the reason I love Isagenix, is because they don't heat any of their products above boiling point, except the bars, they're baked. But all of the other stuff is like, goes through a cold processing, which means that it retains all the nutrients and the enzymes and the digestive enzymes and the amino acids, which in most of our food is totally cooked out. So that helps with that bioavailability and making sure you're getting a lot actually out of your food. Okay, I apologize because I've gone now 15 minutes over. If you want to understand more about Isagenix, again, reach out to whoever invited you on this call. I will say, if I had to choose between Isagenix and every other earthy granola mom thing I do out there, I would choose Isagenix because it's an easy foundation, and I can give it to someone that is drinking 3 Red Bulls a day and they can use it. You don't have to be a total health psycho like I am to experience and appreciate it. But if you aren't using it, definitely give it a try. This week there's actually free membership. How it works is basically it's like Costco, but think of Costco as being holistic and wellness based and not having the frozen food section. So it's like Costco. It's a membership or wholesale company that uses referrals. So people that are loving and using the products. And so if you sign up, you can get a wholesale account. You get to order online, just like Amazon. Unfortunately, no Prime shipping. And they have amazing customer service. This is probably the sign I should start wrapping up. But so if you have a question about them, check out the company. They've won a ton of awards. Okay, it's all yours. It's all yours. All right. That's my sign. But check out the company. He's turning into a three-nager. And reach out to the person that invited you on this call, because the information is amazing, and the more you check into it. And then again, drink more water, not out of plastic, eat more snacks that aren't sugary, monitor your fruit, go for things like kombucha, probiotics. Just take care of your body. And, it's not about deprivation. It's about really understanding what does your body need. And if you're not feeling great, what's causing it? And understand that the tools to your health are in your own hands. And you don't need to, I don't want to say you don't need to go to a doctor, because my husband's been to a surgeon and that guy knows amazing things. But understand that taking a medication isn't always the answer, especially if whatever you're experiencing can be improved just through food. So I just want to empower everyone that if you watch What the Health, or if you watch Forks Over Knives, you know that 97% of issues that people go through can be managed through diet and exercise alone. And I want to empower all of you to realize that whatever you're experiencing, you do have the ability to often really improve it on your own. Okay. So if you have any other questions, reach out. If you want to be part of the call tomorrow that's learning about kind of how to go dairy-free, plant-based, vegan, I look forward to joining you. And my husband will be watching my child, so we'll have a little less distraction. So have a wonderful night, and we'll see you on the next call.